Have you ever sat beside someone, felt the closeness, heard the words, but sensed, deep down, that something real was missing? That despite the laughter or affection, there was still a wall neither of you dared name? It's a quiet kind of loneliness, one that doesn't come from being alone, but from being unseen, even in the presence of someone else. And perhaps you've asked yourself, what does true emotional closeness actually feel like? And more importantly, how do you know when it's real? We live in a world that speaks loudly about love, but says very little about safety. We chase connection, yet overlook the foundation that makes it last. Trust, emotional steadiness, and the quiet courage to remain grounded in ourselves. Somewhere along the way, many men were taught that strength meant silence, that being stoic meant being unreadable, and that if you simply did enough, said the right things, or stayed long enough, love would arrive and stay. But that's not how it works. Real intimacy isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself through charm or constant attention. It emerges slowly when someone feels safe enough to be fully seen. And the most telling phrase a woman will ever say, if you've truly earned her trust, is this: I feel safe with you. Not you're fun, not you're handsome, not even I love you. Because without emotional safety, those words are just noise. This isn't about guessing games or manipulation. This is about becoming the kind of man who creates calm where others create chaos. A man who doesn't need to prove himself, but simply lives in a way that others feel grounded in his presence. Stoic wisdom teaches us to see things as they are, not as we wish them to be. And when applied to relationships, that means learning to distinguish between momentary attraction and lasting emotional truth. So if you're ready to stop chasing and start building, not just in love but in life, this message is for you. What comes next isn't just a lesson in intimacy, it's a mirror, one that invites you to reflect, refine, and reclaim the kind of presence that makes others feel safe, and that reminds you of the man you were always meant to be. Let's begin. Stoic breakdown of real intimacy in the one phrase 1. Seeing things as they are. The Stoic lens on intimacy. The Stoics taught that wisdom begins not with knowing more, but with seeing clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change. It is the truth I seek, which never harmed anyone." In the realm of relationships, that kind of clarity is rare, but it is essential. Too often, we confuse emotional warmth with emotional depth. A compliment feels good, a spark of attraction lifts our spirit, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're standing on solid ground. The Stoic man learns to pause. He listens not only to what is said, but to what remains unsaid. He doesn't fill in the gaps with wishful thinking. He honors reality even when it's quieter than he hoped. He understands that intimacy without clarity is just chemistry, temporary, uncertain, and often misleading. Nub 2. Attraction versus intimacy, surface versus a substance. Epictetus reminds us that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Attraction happens. It's involuntary, biological, and immediate. But intimacy, that's a conscious decision made over time through tested trust, shared vulnerability, and emotional safety. Attraction might excite her senses, but intimacy lets her exhale. It allows her to set down her armor. And here's where most men get it wrong. They think intensity equals depth. They try to be unforgettable through grand gestures, quick emotional confessions, or constant presence. But the man who understands intimacy understands restraint. He knows that not every moment needs to be filled. That space is not distance, it's respect. That silence, when held well, can be more healing than the right words. 3. The power of vulnerability. Hers and yours. The phrase you're listening for isn't dramatic. It isn't sexy. It won't come at the end of a date when things are heating up. It comes in a quiet moment, perhaps when she least expects it, and it sounds like this: I feel safe with you. Those 5 words tell you everything you need to know. It's a signal of earned trust. It means you've shown consistency not just in actions, but in energy. You didn't flinch when she shared something hard. You didn't press when she pulled away to think. You didn't use charm as a shortcut or validation as currency. You showed her, without ever needing to say it, that her fragility was welcome, not judged. But here's the deeper truth. She'll never say that phrase unless you've made peace with your own vulnerability first. The Stoic man does not avoid his inner chaos. He meets it, he journals through it, walks with it, breathes into it, and learns not to flee from discomfort. He becomes the steady flame in the storm, not because he never wavers, but because he's learned how to stay lit even when winds rise. Number 4. Building the foundation for emotional safety. You cannot ask a woman to feel safe if you are unsafe within yourself. Emotional safety begins with inner clarity. Do your words match your actions? Do you speak from stillness or from insecurity? Do you know how to hold space without needing to fix, to prove, or to impress? Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." You earn the right to hear, "I feel safe with you," by staying composed in discomfort, honest in confusion, and kind without agenda. You don't rush closeness, you reveal steadiness, and she will feel that in the tone of your voice, the stillness of your presence, and the patience in your gaze. 5. The invitation, not the performance. Intimacy isn't something you achieve, it's something you invite. You don't win it by being interesting. You embody it by being interested, deeply, quietly, and consistently. A Stoic doesn't demand to be understood. He offers space to be known. And in that space, if you've built the kind of presence that invites truth, one day you may hear the phrase that reveals everything. "I feel safe with you." And when you do, honor it. Because it's not a trophy, it's a responsibility. Now let's bring these insights to life in the next section, where we'll look at the contrast between real and false intimacy, and how to avoid the emotional traps that so many fall into when chasing connection for the wrong reasons. We live in a world that celebrates speed, noise, and declarations of passion. A culture where the louder someone says, "I love you," the more we assume it must be true. But as Stoics remind us, truth is not found in noise. It is revealed in consistency, in silence, in action. And nowhere is this contrast more needed than in the difference between shallow attraction and genuine intimacy. Let's look closer. Attraction shouts. It wants to be noticed. It thrives on approval, on compliments, on external validation. It asks, "Do you like me?" and waits nervously for an answer. But intimacy whispers. It doesn't demand attention, it earns trust. It asks nothing, yet gives everything. Attraction seeks to impress. Intimacy seeks to understand. Most men today are trained to chase attraction. They learn the right phrases, the right posture, the confident smile. They are taught to perform, to win, to make a woman feel something quickly, even if it doesn't last. But here's what Stoicism teaches us. If you must perform to be loved, then the love you receive belongs to the role, not to the man. And when you stop performing, so does her affection. This is not intimacy. It's insecurity dressed as connection. The Stoic path, on the other hand, demands a slower, steadier approach. It teaches you to remove your masks, not to impress, but to reveal. You're not trying to be unforgettable for a night, you're trying to be irreplaceable for a lifetime. And you do that not by seeking constant affirmation, but by creating emotional ground others feel safe standing on. Think about this. When was the last time someone made you feel completely safe being exactly who you are? No need to explain. No need to win approval. That's the power you offer others when you live in emotional clarity. That's what a woman truly means when she says, "I feel safe with you." It's not a compliment, it's a confession. It means your stillness gave her space to exhale. Your strength made it okay for her to soften. Your patience made it possible for her to trust. Now compare that to the counterfeit version. When she says, "You're so exciting," or "I've never met someone like you," what she might really be saying is, "You've stirred something in me, but I don't know if I can count on you." There's a thrill in the unknown, but not always security. And without security, there is no lasting bond. This is the core contrast we must understand. Real intimacy feels calm. It feels grounded. It doesn't leave you wondering what the other person meant, or if they'll still be there tomorrow. It may not start with fireworks, but it ends with loyalty. And if you're mature enough to choose stability over sensation, then you're already living what many only dream of. Stoicism isn't cold. It's not the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. And in love, that mastery matters more than we often realize. When you choose clarity over assumption, steadiness over seduction, truth over performance, you don't just attract better relationships, you build them. With the quiet strength of a man who knows his own worth and doesn't trade it for short-term attention. In the next section, we'll bring all of this full circle. with a reflection on how to carry this wisdom forward in daily life, and a message that might just change how you show up in love forever. So, what have we truly uncovered today? At its core, this hasn't been about decoding a clever phrase or finding a shortcut into a woman's heart. It's been about slowing down, long enough to listen, long enough to see clearly, and most of all, long enough to remember what kind of man you want to be. Because when a woman says, "I feel safe with you," she's not just complimenting your presence, she's responding to your foundation. And that foundation is built long before she arrives. It's carved in moments of restraint, forged in the furnace of emotional discipline, and nurtured by the silent dignity that Stoicism teaches us to carry into every part of life. If there's one thing you take with you today, let it be this: real intimacy is not something you chase. It is something you become worthy of. And you become worthy not by perfection, not by charm, but by presence. You become the kind of man who doesn't just stand tall when he's admired, but stays steady when misunderstood. Who doesn't perform to impress, but lives so truthfully that trust becomes the natural consequence of being around him. That's what Stoicism trains in us, not to conquer others, but to master ourselves. Because once you do, others will feel it, they'll trust it, and some, just a rare few, will say the words that matter most: "I feel safe with you." Now let's take this one step further. Don't let this message fade as the video ends. Carry it into your next conversation. Let it shape the way you listen, the way you observe, and the way you show up for yourself and for those around you. If you found value in this, subscribe to Ultimate Stoicism. Not for entertainment, but for transformation. Because here we don't chase hype, we build character. Leave a comment below. What has this message awakened in you? Have you ever heard those words from someone, "I feel safe with you"? And if not, what might you need to change in yourself to become the man who earns them? This isn't just a video, it's a reminder of who you're capable of being. And if even one part of it stayed with you, don't keep it to yourself. Pass it on, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because strength shared is strength multiplied. And we are all on this path together.